From seed to so much more. This fence. These table and chairs. This house. These wooden building blocks. And this paper all have one thing in common. Do you know what that is? Well, they're all made from timber or wood. There are so many different types of wood, but today we're going to focus on pine. Let's now explore how the fence, table and chairs, house, wooden building blocks, and paper all come from timber. It all begins with growing the seeds or cuttings and preparing the site where the tree will grow. This is done between September and October. Growing the seeds involves a process called germination. Germination simply means to grow. You can see here the roots are beginning to grow up downwards and the baby stem beginning to curl upwards. While the seeds are growing, the site where the trees will grow needs to be prepared. This is done using a big truck. Do you know what this truck's called? Yes, it's a bulldozer. It helps to break up the soil so that rows of small mounds can be formed. By June, the seedlings are then ready to be transformed to the plantation where the trees will continue to grow. They're planted between June and August. They're planted on the small mounds every 2.5 metres apart to allow enough room for trees to grow. It takes a long time for pine trees to grow. Can you guess how long? It takes between 30 to 35 years to grow. During this process, the tree is pruned. This is where the lower branches are cut off. It helps to prevent knotting in the tree. The trees are also thinned. This is the process where smaller, weaker trees are cut down. The trees that are cut down are marked so that everyone knows which trees to cut down. By cutting these trees down, it provides more space for the stronger, taller trees to get sunlight, water, and be able to grow. The last step in the process is called harvesting. This simply means the trees are cut down. When the trees have reached 30 to 35 years old, they get cut down. The trees are cut down using chainsaws and big trucks. A chainsaw is used to cut a wedge into one side. This is the direction the tree will fall. Once the trees are on the ground, all the branches are cut off, leaving just the bare trunk. When all the logs are ready, some big trucks called crawler tractors, wheeled skidders, or even overhead cranes come to load the logs onto trucks for transport to the sawmill. At the sawmill, the logs are cut into different sized pieces of timber. This is then taken to timber outlets and sold to manufacturers as building materials, like our fence palings and timber beams for construction and even for toys. You can buy pieces of timber from shops like Bunnings and you can do almost anything with it. Don't you think it's funny that paper can come from wood? But how do we get the paper from wood? During the thinning process, the trees that are cut down are sometimes used to make paper. Whenever a tree is cut down, there are leftover pieces such as sawdust and small chips. These pieces, along with bigger pieces of the tree, are called pulpwood. These pieces are then sent to the paper mill. They are then processed into smaller wood chips like what you see in the playground. The wood is then made into pulp, where the wood chips are broken down into usable fibres and waste products. Once the pulp is made, it's then prepared for the paper making machine, where they go through a cleaning process. When it's cleaned, the pulp is placed between two pieces of wire where it is drained to remove the water. This is done using 3 methods: suction, pressure, and heat. It's then off to create the right surface for the right paper. Sometimes chemicals are added. The finished paper is then wound into jumbo reels and split into smaller customer reels. When they are ready to be transported, they're wrapped in plastic to protect the paper. So, from this tiny seed, we're able to do so much more. Let's now talk about the products in the classroom that you think may come from this little seed.